Christmas is getting closer every day, and if you can't tell, I'm very excited. My Christmas jumper even has my 2 cats on it. So I thought I'd make the ultimate Nintendo Switch gift guide for those of you who like to leave things till the very last minute. And today, not only are we going to go over the best Nintendo Switch games, we're going to go over a few to avoid, some gift ideas for cozy gamers, and also some gift ideas that are for gamers but aren't necessarily games. Just a quick PSA before we go into this though, if you're in a household where there are multiple of you who own a Nintendo Switch, and you think, for example, that if you give one person a game, they might want to share it amongst the whole family, then definitely look at buying physical games over digital games, even though digital is easier, just because it makes it much easier to share. First off, we're going to start with the big AAA Nintendo Switch releases. These are mostly in the £40 to £50 region. And first up, we have Mario Wonder. Now, this is a full-price Nintendo game, that's because it came out very recently, but honestly, this is probably one of those games that is perfect for anyone and everyone. Now, this is a traditional side-scroller platformer, but it is also absolutely wacky, meaning that it literally never gets boring, and I think everyone is going to find it fun. And thanks to the fact that you can either play as a character that can't take any damage, or you can use badges to give you a helping hand on the level that you're stuck on, it's also the perfect game for gamers of all abilities. This is also a great family game for Christmas, as not only can you play 1 to 4 players online, you can also play couch co-op as well. I personally think out of a lot of the games I'm going through today, this is probably the #1 pick for kids. Then we have Mario RPG. This is another game that's just released, so comes with a hefty price tag, but this is a traditional turn-based battle game. This is a great game for gamers of all abilities as there's difficulty settings, but I don't think this is a game for young kids at least. This has to be one of the wittiest Mario games I've ever played. The dialogue is absolutely hilarious, and although I'm not a traditional Mario loving girl, I've actually been really enjoying it. Then we have the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC. Despite the fact that this released a year ago, this is still the most current mainline Pokemon game. But if you didn't already know, Scarlet and Violet had a DLC release recently that brings a bunch more content to the game. Now, unfortunately, the game itself is still a little bit of a mess. They haven't really addressed any of the issues that people brought up at the beginning in terms of frame rate and how the game looks. But if you know the person you're buying for is a big Pokemon fan, and top tip, you can go into their settings and even see how much of the game they've been playing. If they have a fair amount of hours, then you're probably pretty safe to go ahead and buy them the DLC. Make sure you buy the right version of the DLC, so go and check whether they have Pokemon Scarlet or Pokemon Violet, and then buy them the correct version. But if I can just be controversial for a second, I still think Pokemon Legends Arceus is the better Pokemon game. At least to me, it's the Pokemon game I had more fun with than Scarlet and Violet. So if you're looking to get someone their very first Pokemon game, I can definitely recommend that. Next is Pikmin 4. This is another full-price Nintendo game, but if I was to recommend one game for basically anyone, it will probably be this one, as in my opinion, this is one of the best games of the year. This is a game where you crash land on a planet, and with the help of these little Pikmin creatures, you set off to find your crewmates. I love it as it's just you and your adorable army of seedlings off to fight against the world. Now, it can be a little bit stressful at times, so just keep that in mind. It's maybe not best for someone who suffers from anxiety, as you will be in charge of 100 Pikmin at some points, some of which will not make it back from battle when you set them off, and there's a time limit for each day that you play the game. But if you know the person you're buying for can handle all of that, it is such a fantastic game. It looks amazing on the Switch, it runs amazing on the Switch, it's adorable, it just has a little bit of everything and is suitable for everyone other than young kids. Then we have Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This will be highly requested this Christmas for many Zelda lovers. But just bear in mind, this is a sequel to Zelda Breath of the Wild. So if the person you're buying for loved that game, then they're most definitely gonna love this one. And although it does have a hefty price tag, there's a lot of hours of fun to be had. While we're on the topic of AAA games, we're gonna go over a few of the Nintendo Switch staples that if they don't already own, they'll probably absolutely love. First up is Mario Kart. This is a staple on the Switch, it's one of my favourite games, it's one of the best racing games of all time. You'll have a lot of fun playing it, especially at Christmas when you can all play it together. Then we have Mario Odyssey, which is a game perfect for everyone of all abilities, because not only is the game super accessible and super fun, there's plenty of challenges to keep the more experienced gamers happy as well. And of a similar vein, we have Kirby and the Forgotten Land, another 3D adventure. I actually prefer this to Mario Odyssey, but again, this is perfect for gamers of all abilities. There's again a ton of challenges and time levels for more experienced gamers to really have a go at. Both Kirby and Mario can be enjoyed by up to 2 people at a time as well, so it's a great game to share. Then we have Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is by no means a kid's game, but if someone in your life is looking for a very story-heavy, story-driven RPG, this is definitely one to consider. Now, this was my very first tactical RPG, which goes to show that it's very approachable even if you've never played a style of this game before, and with different difficulty settings, you can even just enjoy the story if you want to. But I think this is the perfect game for cozy gamers who are looking for some more substance, but don't know where to start. Next up is indie games, but before we do that, let's talk about today's sponsor, Toastable. This just released recently and currently costs under £9, and I think this is a perfect little party game to play at Christmas because it's pure and utter chaos. You can play this with up to 4 players, couch co-op, and Toastable is a physics-based multiplayer sports game. And if playing as a toaster that can literally fire toast isn't already wild enough for you, every single time you score a goal, the game mode will change, allowing you to play anything from basketball, pong, or even levels filled with lava. This also means that no 2 times you play the game will ever be the same. With 24 unique variants, things like the size of the toaster and number of toasts constantly changing, and 5 unique arenas, there's plenty of fun to have. And although the controls are pretty simple, the game is by no means easy, but I honestly think that adds to the chaos. If you want to check out Toastable, make sure you use my link in the description down below, and thank you again for sponsoring the video. The first indie game on today's list is a definite must-buy for so many people, and that's Dave the Diver. Although I know technically it's not an indie game, but it was in the indie game section at Game of the Year awards, so we're rolling with it because it's priced like an indie game. Dave the Diver is a really fun game that sees you catch fish by day and by night run the sushi restaurant. So this is a mix between a roguelike, but also a restaurant managing game, and honestly, it sounds weird, but it just works. The only catch is this doesn't have any difficulty settings, so if you know the person you're buying for might get a bit frustrated by this, then maybe skip it. But it's such a unique game, such a unique concept, it's something I've had a lot of fun with. And the game itself is absolutely wacky. The cutscenes are wild. Each and every time you get used to the game, they add in a brand new mechanic, and there's multiple stories going on at the same time as well. For the price, I think you'll struggle to find anything better. Sea of Stars is another fantastic indie game to recommend, and it also won Best Indie Game of the Year for good reason. It is absolutely incredible. This is a turn-based RPG where you play as children of the solstice, who must journey across the world, fighting off the monsters created by an evil alchemist and combining their powers together. I think this is a really good starter turn-based RPG for anyone looking into getting into these sorts of games, as the story is absolutely fantastic, but the combat is also very easy to get into. It has a very good tutorial system, and there's also difficulty settings as well, meaning that you can really fine-tune the experience to whatever you want it to be. So if you know someone who's looking to break into these sorts of games, it'll be the perfect purchase. Next up is the Cozy Gamer Specials. Starting off with a few of my staple puzzle games, we have A Little to the Left, whose puzzles come from organising and rearranging household junk, and Storyteller, where the puzzles come from rearranging a storyboard to try and fulfill what it says on the title of the page. Both of these are super unique, super fun, and honestly a good length for the money. Goth Romantic is a really solid pick for someone who loves puzzles, as it's very interactive, very pretty, and is all about rearranging tiles in order to try and make a landscape. Wildflowers is a game I'll endlessly recommend. This is a witchy farming sim that follows a story. This is truly a great introduction into farming sims, or can be a great farming sim for veterans alike. Then we have Spiritfarer, and whilst it's not really in the Christmas spirit because it has heavy themes of loss throughout the whole game, It is truly, truly beautiful, and it's also one of the cheapest games on this list as it's often under £5 on sale. This is a game where you take over as ferry master to the spirits, but in order to help them move to the other side, you need to help them do their unfinished business, which often means getting to know them in excruciating detail before you have to say goodbye for the very last time. It's one of my favorite games, it's beautiful, it's heartbreaking, and I love it. Now on to my recommendations for games that came out this year. But we're going to start off with a few games you might want to avoid, and that's basically because they just don't run very well on the Switch, and whoever you buy them for might be a little bit disappointed. First up is Mineko's Night Market. This is absolutely adorable, I love it to pieces, but sadly it's still not running that fantastic on the Switch. The main issue at the moment, even though most of the bugs have been sorted, is just the load times are really long. So if you have any other sort of console or way to play games, it might be better off buying it on that rather than the Switch. My Time at Sandrock is a similar situation. It is an absolutely incredible life and farming sim, but the console release is not the full release of the game, first of all, and second of all, it just isn't optimized all that well for the Switch right now. I think you're paying a large price for playing it on the Switch in terms of visuals and how the game runs. So again, if you have any other way of playing this, I'd suggest that rather than the Switch version. The next game I recommend if you can find it on sale, but do not recommend for full price. And I know this is going to tempt a lot of people in with the type of game it is, but this is Fashion Dreamer. Fashion Dreamer does what it does incredibly well, but the issue is it doesn't do a lot. So it's essentially a game where you get to make clothes and dress up different characters, but that is all it is. There's a tutorial, and after that, there's no story, no dialogue, nothing. You're just kind of wandering around, dressing people up for no rhyme, no reason, other than just having fun. And this would be fine if the game did not cost as much money as it costs, you know? So if you can find this on sale and you know someone who'd love a dress-up game, go for it. It is receiving a few updates over the next few months, but so far those updates have not gone very smoothly. So good sale game, not for full price though. Another game which is good if you can pick it up on offer, but I don't recommend for full price, is Fae Farm. Now this has just gotten a brand new DLC, which includes a lot of frogs and a brand new area. The main issue is though, it is very expensive on the Switch, which is why I say look out for a good offer or a good sale if you're thinking of picking this up for a friend. Now this is a farming sim with a lot less focus on NPC interaction, so this is a really good pick if you're buying for someone who likes to play the Switch while watching stuff at the same time. For me, that's one of the reasons why I love it, but if you know the person loves farming sims for the story, for the dating aspects inside of it, they definitely won't enjoy this. Fae Farm's real strength though is in its mechanics. There is combat in the mines, but you can avoid it by brewing invincibility potions, and there's a lot of little bits to the game, like for example you can flower breed, you can breed different animals, everything like that. There's a lot to do, but a few big downsides, which is why I say get it on offer. Speaking of farming sims, Disney Dreamlight Valley DLC just came out, which might be a great gift for someone who already owns the base game. I'd say Disney Dreamlight Valley is a great game for everyone. If you're not familiar with the game, then it's essentially a farming sim, but everyone in your village is a classic Disney character. Just to let you know though, this is a game full of microtransactions, so definitely something to keep in mind. To me though, the DLC at the moment is definitely worth the money. There seems to be quite a lot of added gameplay, so if you know someone who likes the game but hasn't bought that yet, that could make a really nice gift. I do want to give a quick word of warning about Disney Dreamlight Valley though. I know there is a physical edition on sale at the moment. It's called like the Cozy Edition or something. Don't buy this on the Nintendo Switch. I honestly think it's a bit of a rip-off. You do get some exclusive in-game items, but the Switch version only isn't actually a physical. You do not get a game cartridge inside, you just get the code for the game. So for this reason, I'd say skip it. It's not what you think it is. Another fantastic cozy game to recommend is Roots of Pacha. Now this is another farming sim, but it is an incredible take on a farming sim. It's also completely combat free, which I think a lot of people are looking for this Christmas, and it's perfect for both new farmers and old school farmers alike. What makes this game different and so unique is the fact that it is a prehistoric farming sim. So you get to play in basically the Stone Age. Like, the game starts with you just with a pointy rock, using that as a tool for everything. And as the game progresses, each of the villagers sort of starts coming up with new inventions that you help them out with by giving them different items to build their inventions. And slowly the whole town starts to sort of progress. I've personally really enjoyed my time with it. It runs really nicely on the Switch and I can't recommend it enough. Onto a few non-farming sims, and we have the Coffee Talk franchise and Cosmic Wheel of Sisterhood. Now, I do want to preface this by saying both of these games are for adults. There are adult topics in it, so I definitely don't recommend this for kids. But if you do know a cozy gamer who also loves to read, this will be the perfect vibe. Both of these are narrative style games where the actions you do in-game will affect which endings you get. And although pretty simple, both of these games are essentially just going through dialogue, where Coffee Talk has you brewing different coffees for customers as you go, and Cosmic Wheel of Sisterhood has you essentially designing these tarot cards that you then use to read people's fate. The beauty of both of these games are how much you get to know different characters purely through dialogue and the world building that comes from conversations. Now, for Coffee Talk, there is a Coffee Talk 1 and 2. I recommend both of them, but you do need to have played the first one to really get the most out of the second one. So either get the bundle or just gift the person the first one to begin with. Cosmic Wheel of Sisterhood is pretty heavy though, but a lot of fun. Now, if money's tight or you just want to add a little bit extra onto someone's Switch, there are a few new free games that might interest you and could be worth downloading before Christmas Day. The first one that's just come out is Palia, which is an online farming and life sim. It is completely free to play. The game does contain microtransactions though, but this is purely for cosmetics. And although the game is still in early access, it has more than enough fun for over Christmas. There is no voice chat in the game, but there is an online chat, but you can disable this if you don't want it to appear. But this is a really nice game to have on your Switch because all the updates are free. And honestly, as a cozy gamer myself, it's a game I've adored over the last couple of months, so I think it'll be perfect. Another free game for cozy gamers that will be worth downloading, do note though, this will take a while, is Fortnite. And yes, I know this is technically a battle royale, but they just released a brand new mode inside of it that's effectively Lego Minecraft. You can customize your game experience completely by turning off things like combat, hunger, freezing, everything like that. So you can have a really chill experience or just build if you want to. But this is also a great game to play with friends or family, as not only is it free, but you can also play with up to 7 of you in your own little world. I've been loving this recently, can't recommend it enough, and it might be a nice little surprise to play on Christmas Day. That's all of my game suggestions, but what if you don't want to buy your favorite gamer a game and want to go for something a little bit different? Well, don't worry, I've got you covered, as first up we're going to go through Switch accessories. First up, we have one of my favorite things I bought for my Switch, and that is the pastel Joy-Cons. Now, I know you can also buy stickers to go over your Joy-Cons, but I personally get really annoyed by the stickers. Not only do I not really like the feel, I can also never stick them on straight and they either fold or get all weird, and I don't like it. So if you have someone like me in your life, then going for the actual Joy-Cons themselves might be a really nice way to just spice up their Switch. They do come in 2 different color variations, but this is by far my favorite. And you should be able to buy them off of Amazon, so you should get them before Christmas. Another thing you can buy off of Amazon is a grip. Now, I recently gave my mum one of these grips. I've got the Skull & Co one on my Switch at the moment. Really like it. Great for small hands as well. And to quote my mum, she said, "If I received this on Christmas Day, initially I would have been a little bit disappointed. But the moment I put it onto my Switch and realized what a difference it made, I would have been ecstatic." Honestly, she's not wrong. I found this to be a complete game changer. It's made gaming in bed so much easier, so much more comfortable. And if the person you're giving this to has either mobility issues in their hands, wrist pain, finger pain, anything like that, this will be such a game changer and it will make the Switch so much more accessible for them. So definitely recommend this, even if their initial reaction might not have been ecstatic. Nintendo Switch cases are also a really nice gift, especially if the person you're giving it to loves to game on the go. You can also either personalize them or buy them for their favorite franchise, anything like that. They are really handy to have. Another basic gift, but another absolute must for your Nintendo Switch, I think, is the Pro Controller. This is a great gift for any gamer who likes to play the Switch docked. It just makes things so much easier than playing with the Joy-Cons and is such a game changer. This one that I've got here is the special edition Zelda version, but you can get a few different variations. So either figure out what is their favorite game or what is their favorite color and buy from there. Again, this should be on Amazon, so it should come pretty quickly, so you don't have to worry about that. Right, the next gift is for tech lovers. Yes, it's a really expensive one, but I think more people have been eyeing it up recently, and that is the Steam Deck, specifically the Steam Deck OLED. Now, I don't know if this will arrive on time. Maybe you can do expedited shipping with Steam. You'll have to check the website and see. Now, this might be the perfect gift if the person you're buying for loves indie games, as increasingly the Nintendo Switch seems to be running them worse and worse, and some games are just not even making it to the Switch right now. Now, one thing to bear in mind before you buy this is there's heavy speculation that a Switch 2 could be coming next year. So if you are thinking of buying this, keep in your mind, would I still buy this if I knew a new Switch was coming next Christmas? If the answer is probably still yes, then I think you're going to have a great time with it. The OLED specifically is really, really good. The screen in the OLED is much better than the normal Steam Deck. The battery life's better. The fans are quieter. There's a lot of reasons why this is better than the base one and worth the extra money. But definitely something to consider if you've been hearing them complain a lot about how bad the Switch is running games. The next obvious gift is just an eShop gift card, okay? You can't really go wrong with it. Just make sure you buy it for the right currency, okay? There is a difference. They're not transferable between currencies, but this is a solid choice because then they can just buy whatever game they want. There is normally a massive sale around Christmas and New Year's, so it's definitely a good time to gift an eShop gift card. The final suggestions on my list are for if you want to buy something gaming related that isn't specifically for the Nintendo Switch. Let me explain a little bit further. So first up, what you're going to want to do is find your person's favorite franchise. And hopefully that'll be Pokemon, Zelda, or any of the very popular games, because they're going to be easier to buy for. So for example, if you find out they love Pokemon, honestly, this is the best case scenario. This is really easy to buy for, because you'll be able to buy any number of things. Like my favorite thing, if you can't tell, is Pokemon plushies. And they are really good quality from the Pokemon store. I'm pretty sure the Pokemon store ships to a lot of places worldwide, UK and America included. So you can go through and try and find their favorite Pokemon. Pokemon store does a ton of little trinkets as well, good stocking fillers. Like you can buy little key rings, little figures, everything like that. There's even clothes as well, which is pretty cool. One thing I'm really obsessed with is that Pokemon do Loungefly bags as well. I adore this one. They do a couple of other ones as well. This might be really good for like a practical gamer. You can also fit your Switch in this one as well. It's like the perfect size, so definitely recommend. You can also buy Pokemon and Animal Crossing plushies from Build-A-Bear, which are really nice quality, albeit maybe a little bit overpriced. But honestly, one thing I do when I'm looking at presents for my brother is, because I know what his favorite game is, I just go to Etsy, type in that game, and then find a ton of really cool little trinkets, decoration items, you name it, they've got it, hats, clothes, everything. Obviously, being this close to Christmas, definitely check what the shipping date is and try and maybe get one that doesn't involve international shipping. Like I, for example, around this room have loads of paintings and pictures from Etsy of my favorite games. They're a really nice little way to decorate your room, but also have a nod to your gaming. But that's my guide to buying stuff for Christmas this year. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any genius ideas for gamers in your lives, as I'd love to see your suggestions. And make sure you send this to your favorite person who you know will buy you a gift last second, as this might help them get you something you might actually want. And if you're excited to see which games are coming to the Switch, then here are my very top picks.